After the Bears' Week 1 performance against the Atlanta Falcons, where they played them tough at Soldier Field, they were in position late to win the game. They covered the spread. Heading into Week 2, I still wasn't going to be crazy enough to pick them to win, going on the road to play the Buccaneers. But I'm thinking, Atlanta's the defending NFC champions. For all intents and purposes, should have won Super Bowl 51. This is a really good team. Way, way, way above the Bears in terms of talent level on both sides of the ball. Bears had no business being in that game, and they had a chance to win late. And honestly, were the better team that day and should have won that game. Heading into Tampa, a team that missed Week 1 because Hurricane Irma made Florida undoable for them and the Dolphins, so their game got postponed. The Bears have some momentum, you think, from Week 1. Tampa Bay could potentially be rusty. It's like, okay, even if I know Tampa's clearly the better team and Tampa should win this game, I thought the Bears could be competitive with them, hang around, and maybe in the fourth quarter have a chance to win again, and this time on the road. And at least be able to say, hey, this team isn't very good still, and they've got a ways to go, but at least I feel like there's some progress. Well, at the very beginning of the game, it's like the Bucs get the ball to start off. They drive down the field, but the Bears defense tightens up when they need to, and they hold them to 3. And then you come right back on offense, and the Bears are kind of moving the ball down the field a little bit. They're getting into scoring position. They're getting into the red zone. And I'm like, oh my goodness. This team found a little bit of something from Week 1. They've got a little bit of rhythm to start off. The longer they can stay in this game, the longer they can think that they're better than they actually are. They might be able to fool themselves into beating Jameis and the Bucs here. And then Mike Glennon threw that pick. And it was really, honestly, downhill from there. But as much as it would be easy to just solely crap on Glennon for that pick, or point to Glennon's 3 turnover performance and how bad and ineffective he was in this game, I don't care what the numbers said, he was terrible. Most of his numbers were put up in garbage time when the Bucs didn't care, and the Bears still struggled to score. The real game changer was Tariq Cohen making a major rookie mistake. It's a 3-0 game. It's early. You're inside of your 10-yard line waiting to field a punt. It hits the ground. Get the hell away from it. Don't get cute. Don't try to do everything. Don't try to do anything. Just get away from it and play ball on offense. Instead, Tariq Cohen makes an ill-advised attempt to try and field it, so of course he ultimately muffs it. The Buccaneers get the ball deep in Bears territory. The next play, they turn around, and Winston throws the touchdown pass in the right side of the end zone to Mike Evans. And you knew right then the game was over. I'm sorry, you did. And that's how it played out. That was the air let out of the balloon. That was the straw that broke the camel's back, and it really opened the floodgates to the point where by the time we got to halftime, the Bears are staring at a 26-0 deficit with absolutely no hope of winning this game whatsoever. It was done. It was over. It was a wrap. And it ultimately was. Now, they held the Buccaneers to 3 points in the second half, but that was because the Buccaneers at that point weren't really trying to put the foot on the pedal. They weren't really trying to strangle off the Bears. They weren't really trying to kill the Bears. They were just happy with beating them in Week 1 and moving the hell on. The Bears got a touchdown late. But it was far too late and far too little. And the Tampa Bay Buccaneers opened their season at home at Raymond James Stadium with, for them, a pretty impressive 29-7 victory. And for the Bears now, they are 0-2 and staring down the barrel of the next 2 weeks, having to play the Steelers and the Packers. 0-4, looking oh so close to reality. No big surprise there. So let's talk about the good and bad of this game. For Chicago, the good, I'll point to the offensive line. Without Kyle Long, you had Glennon drop back to pass 45 times, and there was only 1 sack. And that was, I believe, the sack that Noah Spence had when he forced the fumble on Glennon and they got the turnover. That was it. They got some pressure on him, but ultimately, the fact that the offense didn't do better in the passing game has a lot to do with Mike Glennon. It wasn't due to the offensive line, in my opinion. I thought they did an adequate job in pass protection. Run blocking, maybe a different story. But pass protection, I still thought they were pretty solid to only allow 1 sack on 45 pass attempts. Defensively, I'll look at Leonard Floyd. I know the numbers weren't huge, but he got the Bears' first defensive turnover of the year, and I thought his energy level in general was pretty good. He was around the ball quite a bit. As the season goes along, I expect him to make more big plays and be more of an impact player and hopefully live up to that top 10 draft status from last year and prove himself to be a potential franchise building block on the defensive side of the ball. For Tampa Bay, Mike Evans had 7 catches for 93 yards and a touchdown, and it feels like if Tampa Bay really, really wanted to, he could have had 200 yards receiving on the day. He really could have. Defensively, I look at the linebackers. Levante David made some nice plays. He was kind of all over the place. Quan Alexander didn't have a ton of numbers in terms of tackles, but his abilities in coverage really messed with the Bears, a team that really can't stretch the ball vertically due to Glennon, due to the lack of talent in their receiving core. It made it really hard for them to throw over the middle of the field because it felt like Quan Alexander was everywhere in coverage. And his pick that he had on Glennon early on in the game really helped set a tone for this Bucs team. Their run defense, between Howard and Cohen, you had 16 carries and the Bucs only gave up 20 yards. If you were looking at the Bucs and trying to figure out if they could contend with an Atlanta this year in this division, you look at that run defense and you say 16 carries, only 20 yards allowed on the ground. You feel pretty good about this Bucs defense being able to do something as the season goes along. In terms of the bad for the Buccaneers, I'll be honest, I don't think Jameis Winston played a very good game. Because if he did, if he was anywhere as close to as accurate as he should have been, as many times as Deshaun Jackson and other guys got behind the Bears safeties in the secondary and were open deep, the Bucs should have won this game by 40 points going away easy. Because they missed 2 to 3 potential touchdowns just because Jameis Winston incredibly missed on his downfield throws. So while he was good enough to win here, when you start talking about trying to win that division and make some noise in the NFC in the playoff race, Jameis Winston needs to be better and more on the money and be able to hit on those big plays, most certainly more than he did Sunday against Chicago. In terms of the bad for the Bears, I look at their secondary. Even though they kept Mike Evans under 100 yards, Deshaun Jackson didn't really hit him up for a big play. It's more so the fact that you look at the number of breakdowns in coverage in the secondary. You look at just the sheer number of times that somebody was able to get open deep and get open consistently. That was really concerning. And it was something you thought was going to be a weakness for this Bears team. And in week 1, I thought their secondary was okay. This week, not so much. And then you got to go to Mike Glennon. I mean, 3 turnovers. Trubisky could do that. And I'm not just saying that because it's one of these things, well, you drafted him that high, you have to play him, There's a part of it that's that, but it's just a simple fact is, Mike Glennon is supposed to be the veteran. Mike Glennon is supposed to be the guy that's more NFL ready. Mike Glennon is supposed to be the guy that puts you in the best position to win. Mike Glennon is supposed to be the better game manager, take care of the football and all of this, and he can't do any of that crap. If he can't do any of that crap, then why is he playing? And then when you look at the ugly for the Bears, 4 first half turnovers, 3 straight drives with a turnover. The backbreaker to me still was Tariq Cohen and the muff punt because the game changed after that and it was never going to be in question from that point on. But you cannot go on the road, especially after that solid team performance in week 1 at home against Atlanta, go face another good quality team in the Buccaneers with playoff and divisional race aspirations this year, and turn the ball over 4 times in the first half. The old cliche of the team that wins the turnover battle more often than not wins in the NFL. That's true. You can't have any designs on winning if you turn over the ball 4 times in just 1 half of football. That's Grossman Cutler suck right there. It was just bad. And to bring it all home kind of in the 2-minute drive, I'll say this. The Bucs are legit. This was an impressive, good win for them, their opening week of the season. They feel like a team that'll be in the mix all year in the division and have a chance to win the NFC South. You can't beat anybody with 4 turnovers. It's that simple. And I also look at this team and I say, where was the creativity, the originality, and the effort to actually try to win? And this has always been an issue for me with Fox, is it feels like so often he puts his team in a position to try to not lose as opposed to win. And at some point in time, that crap needs to kick rocks. And even in the 4th quarter, when you're being shut out, you're down 26-0 and 29-0. and it's fourth down, you're not going for it. You're not trying to fake punt. You're not doing any of that crap. You're going to play the field position game when you're down 4 scores? Excuse me, fuck you, that's ridiculous. If you don't want to coach like you're trying to battle to win until the very end, then it's time that Chicago brings in somebody that actually is going to. But what I can't understand for the life of me is how Ryan Fitzpatrick, Jameis Winston's backup, got some snaps late in this game, and Mitchell Trubisky got 0. That is asinine and completely and totally ridiculous. And don't tell me, oh, I wouldn't put him in that situation behind that offensive line with the inability to run the ball in that game and the questions at wide receiver. No. Because when you draft a kid that high, it's because you sucked anyway. So at some point in the time, you're going to look to the kid to see what he could do, to see if he can make the others better around him and elevate his team. That is a dumbass reason to not play him. And especially in the fourth quarter when it is clearly scrub time, clearly garbage time. To not play him made absolutely no football sense. The only reason you don't play a Trubisky is because you're trying to prove a point to the general manager, Ryan Pace, that you don't want to play the rookie, and you want to be stubborn about it, and you should be shown the door. And in fact, I'm disappointed that Virginia McCaskey didn't fire him already. Because here's my thing. From a football sense, you could not make a strong football argument watching that game Sunday as to why Mike Glennon played that entire game, and Mike Glennon continues to be the starter of the Chicago Bears. If he can't stretch the field with his arm, if he can't see the defense, which he clearly didn't his 2 picks were terrible. He just didn't read where the defender was. It was horrible. If he can't move the feet at all to avoid any type of rush whatsoever, he can't protect the football, hence the 3 turnovers, the 2 picks, and the fumble. The rookie could do that, but the rookie can move. The rookie can actually stretch the field with his arm. Why the hell is Mike Glennon still your starting quarterback? That's going full retard, and you don't go full retard. There is literally no good argument or reason at this point from a football standpoint as to why this Bears team isn't considering a quarterback change. Because you could not watch that game in week 2, and I don't care if you say Glennon was okay in week 1. They coached in a way where they tried to hide him the first 3 quarters because they were so afraid of him. And in the fourth quarter, it kind of opened up, and at that point in time, Atlanta was also up 10, and the Bears finally tried to get aggressive with their play calling. Now here, Glennon can't move, he can't stretch the field, he can't read the defense whatsoever. He turns the ball over 3 times. Once it gets to fourth quarter, it should have been at the beginning of the second half to send a message to your locker room that this is not okay, that we are better than this and we're going to be better than this, and you need to play or you're going to sit on the pine. Trubisky had to play, and instead Fox did nothing. He will relish in the garbage time touchdown and try to continue to justify why the veteran should play over the clearly at this point in time more talented and more ready rookie in Trubisky. Absolutely ridiculous. This was a bad week 2 experience for the Chicago Bears, and probably a harbinger of more things to come over the next couple of weeks, Bears fans. I'm sorry, but it's clearly kind of true here.